Imagine a door swinging open to reveal 30 painted smiles. Late in 2011, in the Russian city of Nizhny Novgorod, investigators followed a trail of vandalized graves to the unassuming flat of a respected local historian. The air in the hallway was thick with the scent of chemicals and old paper. A key turned, the lock clicked, and the door opened onto a scene of quiet domestic horror. Inside, nearly 30 life-sized figures were arranged as if in conversation. They lounged on sofas and chairs, dressed in bright, almost childlike clothing. Their faces were painted smooth and doll-like, their hands stiff inside white gloves, their heads tilted as if listening to a secret. But they were not dolls. They were the carefully preserved bodies of young girls, exhumed from their graves and transformed into a grotesque collection of silent roommates. The truth was hidden under layers of fabric, wax, and paint, assembled by a meticulous, patient hand. One investigator would later recall that the silence in that room was the most unbearable part. Neighbors admitted to seeing the figures in the windows, assuming they were just part of an eccentric hobby. His own family had sat among them, never questioning why a gloved hand never moved, or why a face never changed its expression. How does a man turn his home into a private mausoleum in plain sight? The story is a chilling reminder of how easily we overlook the darkness that hides behind a respectable facade. In an age of curated online lives, we are conditioned to accept the unusual, to applaud originality, and to not look too closely. The most terrifying true crime fact here is not the dolls themselves, but the years of silence that allowed them to be created. The answer to how he did it lay buried in the city's cemeteries. Under the cover of darkness, the historian became asked for his motive. His explanation was a chilling form of tenderness. He claimed he was rescuing lonely souls, giving them a home they no longer had. He would bring them back to his apartment and attempt to halt decay with a crude mixture of salt and baking soda before dressing them for their new life. His journals became a concordance of loss. Investigators painstakingly matched his records to desecrated graves, forcing them to knock on doors and deliver news that reopened healed wounds. For dozens of families, a new wave of grief began as the remains were returned for a second burial. The court ultimately deemed him mentally unfit for prison, sentencing him to compulsory psychiatric care. Outside of Russia, the story barely made a ripple. The case is a disturbing lesson in how easily expertise can become a mask for the unthinkable, and how authority can be mistaken for safety. The creepiest fact is not what he did, but how long he did it, hidden behind an ordinary door. In that quiet apartment, a scholar had redefined the meaning of company, and for years an entire city simply looked the other way.